Almost 80% of people who identify themselves as having a victim mentality report feeling stuck in their lives, unable to move on, unable to achieve their goals, and unable to just live a happy, creative life. Imagine what could happen if that was you and you could let go of that and finally move on to create the life and the lifestyle that you know that you deserve. I'm Emma, and today I'm going to explore the concept of victim mentality, whether you're in it and you know it, in it and you don't know it, or you know somebody that has a victim mentality. You will have been around this, and if you're watching this video, you probably do have, in some respects, at least a growth mindset, because the sort of video that you watch to expand your awareness and your knowledge, right? So that you can become a better person or a happier person or a more successful person, whatever that means to you. The victim mentality limits our growth, it limits our happiness, and it stops us from thriving. Why would we want that? There is a million different reasons to ditch it, but it's not always that straightforward, right? Because you might not realize that you have a victim mentality for a start. Even the idea of there being a victim mentality might be triggering for you, because you might think, well, these things are happening to me, and what you're saying is that I'm accountable. And actually, yes, that is what I'm saying. You are accountable for your happiness. You are accountable for your reactions to circumstances. So if you don't get a job and then you are devastated and you're so depressed that you can't go out and look for a different job or decide what you want to do, there has to be a level of accountability, because it's actually super empowering when you realize that overcoming that and feeling a strength from within and understanding that things just happen. That's the human experience we're having. We live in this world where there is contrast, there is tension, there are things that happen that we don't plan for, that we don't want. So the data in this situation is you didn't get the job. That's the data. Now, 10 different people could have the same circumstance and could react very differently. One person could be absolutely devastated and plummet into a depression that's so bad that they can't parent their children or be a good partner or be around other people. They can't be going out looking for a different job, looking for something that's better. On the other end of the scale, you could have someone that applies for the same job, wants it just as much, needs it just as much, doesn't get the job, and thinks, wow, what can I learn from this? First off, what can I learn from this? How can I do things differently next time? Is there anything I could have done differently? And that same person might also feel like, okay, that wasn't meant to be. Or, if that's too fluffy for you, might just think, there are 10 other jobs that I can apply for. I'm going to apply myself right now while I'm in this energy, while I'm feeling this lack, while I'm in this kind of slump and I'm feeling like I've lost something, even though you never had it, but that's how the victim mentality works. And that person could see this as a reason to thrive. And in that energy, bringing that energy to it could mean that the job that they actually get is so much more nourishing for them long term. It could be financially better for them. It could work for them in a million ways that are better that they couldn't have foreseen. So the person that decides to just go with the flow, take the data and respond to it in a healthy, positive way is going to have a very different experience to the person who feels crushed by it, who's taken it personally, and who falls into a depression, which is a very real depression. I'm not saying that that's not real, it's very real, but we have a choice. Victim mentality is much more common than you might think. It's a situation where we blame other people or circumstances or the universe or the world or God for all of the things that happen to us. There's a complete lack of accountability, and it's a feeling of pure helplessness. This is where the power comes in. So when you take control of this and you learn how to navigate it in a different way and you let go of the victim mentality, you're actually taking your power, and it's so healthy, and it's just the best thing you can do for your life is to take control and be powerful and know that you are powerful. Because when we have a victim mentality and we feel helpless at everything, then you're in this situation where you feel like, and it's all perception, you feel like there's nothing you can do to make it better. If you don't have a victim mentality and you know that you are in your power, then all of a sudden the world opens up to you. And these things aren't happening to you. These things are happening. And you decide to respond to them in a different way, in a way that is healthy, nourishing, and enables you to grow as a person and doesn't hold you back. Because when you have a victim mentality, how much time do you waste feeling sad about it, or feeling traumatized, or feeling like you can't catch a break, you know? Like, questions, when you ask yourself questions like, why does this keep happening to me? Or why do these things keep happening? Or, you know, this is a victim mentality. And this is something that we really want to let go of. First of all, we want to become aware of it. We want to acknowledge it. And we want to hold space for the thing that it is. Because having a victim mentality is a habit. It's something we learn usually from childhood. And there are lots of reasons we might start doing this. I was absolutely one of these people. I'm talking from absolute experience here. So as a child, if you constantly felt like a victim, the chances are you're going to take that with you into adult life until you kind of bring your awareness to it and undo that, which you absolutely can do because you are all powerful. If you had a parent that had a victim mentality, you're very likely to mirror that. If you may not even be aware of things that happened. It may be that you were left to cry a lot when you were a baby and a toddler, and that has instilled itself as some kind of a trauma within you because you felt like your needs weren't being met. And as a baby and as a toddler, you can't rationalize that. You can't think, oh, it's okay, mum's busy, or, you know, dad's on the phone right now, but I'm safe. You can't think that. Because you are a baby, you're a toddler, you can't. So what happens is you then absorb that and it becomes trauma. Trauma that then informs your habits through life. However, as always with everything, you have the power to rewrite that. And this is what I want to talk about more than anything on this channel, is how powerful you are. How powerful you are to step out of any circumstance that you find yourself in and rewrite your life. How powerful you are that you can live your life any way up to right now. And right now, in the moment, you can change your responses to anything. You can change your emotional reactions. You can change the feelings and the emotions that you have. And you can change the trajectory of the rest of your life. And you have that opportunity every second of every day. Doesn't matter if 3 days ago you made this concerted effort to like no longer be in the victim mentality and you were going to do things differently and then you fell back into it. Doesn't matter if an hour ago you had a massive argument with someone, you're feeling really awful. It doesn't matter if 10 minutes ago you just lost your job or you found out that you're really sick and something has happened to you. All these things are actual data that are all real. But what matters is at any given point, regardless of how you have dealt with life, in the minutes up to the second you're talking about, you can change it. You can take control and you can learn and you can grow and you can change the way you think about everything in your life. And by changing the way you think about things, you change the emotional responses. By changing the emotional responses, you change the chemicals that are flooded through your body at any given time so that you can actually better protect yourself. I have been through a huge amount in my life and I've had lots and lots of reasons to feel like the victim, to not hold myself accountable for my reactions to things, and I have been in the thick of the victim mentality many times over in my life. It's not that I got to a certain point and then I had this epiphany and I learned these things from these spiritual teachers or from this coach and then I never felt like a victim again. I still slip into it now, momentarily. It doesn't usually last very long. There's only a couple of things that are emotional enough to me to act like a curveball and get me into that victim mentality. And I can recognize it now, which is something that I've definitely learned over the last probably 20 years to come to this point where I can bring myself out of it. So I had a huge epiphany But this experience happened to me many, many times over, and it still happens now. I've just been to an amazing retreat, a wellness festival, where I spent some time with some beautiful spiritual teachers, and it reminded me of my own power. It reminded me that I am the captain of my own ship. It reminded me that I have a choice for how I feel about situations and circumstances. And I need those reminders regularly, but that's what content like this is for, because you might already know all this stuff, but you know what? Maybe you just need to hear it again to remind yourself that you are powerful, that you can choose how you react, and you can choose your emotional state at any given point in your life. So practical steps for bringing yourself out of victim mode. And there's a caveat here. So in the beginning, I said that maybe you're in a victim mentality and you know. Maybe you're in a victim mentality and you don't know. Or maybe you know someone who has a victim mentality. Now, my caveat here is no one can do the work for another person. So if you're watching this because you have someone in your life that is stuck in a victim mentality, you can share this with them. You can share other insights with them, but ultimately, in order to change their life, they have to make that decision themselves. They have to come to that conclusion, have that epiphany, have that growth themselves. But if it is you, and you have situations that are super overwhelming when they happen to you, here are some practical steps that you can do to minimize the disruption that has in your life. The first thing is become aware of it. So when something happens to you and you start slipping into, why has this happened to me? Why has this always happened to me? Everything's always so awful. Why, when your questions about what has happened go external all of the time and you feel a heaviness and a helplessness, bring your awareness to that. Step number one, become aware of it. Becoming aware of it is probably 50% of the work. The rest of it is finessing, but becoming aware of it is so powerful and so important and so empowering to become aware of it. Even though you feel like, there's a kind of an ugly side of myself that I don't want to see, allowing yourself to see that and to be that is so powerful. Hand in hand with that, when you recognize it, acknowledge your feelings. You are going to have emotional responses. We operate on thoughts and emotions that are just clouds in the sky. They don't make us who we are. They are just weather. So acknowledge the way you feel about the fact that you've slipped into a victim mentality. Hold space for that. Don't judge yourself. As always, throw self-compassion and love at yourself. The second thing I encourage you to do is to shift your focus from the issue, the thing that has happened, and start using the energy you would have had to sit and feel like a victim to problem solve. Because if you are stuck in victim mode, you have no energy for problem solving. You have no energy for change or growth because it's all being sucked up. So ask yourself, what can I do to improve the situation? And if that question triggers you back into victim mode, acknowledge it. Become aware of it, acknowledge it, and try again. The third thing that is really powerful and is a really small thing and is a massive buzzword at the moment is to be grateful, to hold gratitude. So it's kind of the antithesis to the victim mentality. If you can bring your awareness to preferably several things, but at least one thing that you are super grateful for, starts to dissolve the grip the victim mentality has on you, because you can't hold space for feeling sorry for yourself and feeling grateful at the same time. So if you can't do anything else, think about things that you feel grateful for. The fourth thing is set boundaries. Now, I talk about this a lot. With other people. So setting boundaries with other people is very, very important. But when we have a victim mentality, this is a toxic relationship with ourselves. It's really important to hear that clearly. If you are putting yourself through that amount of trauma every time something happens, you are being toxic to yourself. So set boundaries. Do not allow yourself to speak to yourself that way. Don't allow yourself to influence yourself in a toxic way. Don't allow yourself to be consumed by negative self-talk. And number 5, something that I talk about very often as well, is take action. So how can I solve this problem? Or how can I make this situation better? Or what would be a positive direction I can go now? Acknowledge the fact you might still feel sad about the thing that's happened. And that's okay. But you can feel sad about something that has happened and still move on and take positive action towards a better place. Make your action consistent. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to take these great leaps and bounds, but do small steps, consistently positive action towards putting yourself in a better place, because that's where you are literally using your power, using the tools of your power to elevate your life and your personal growth. Victim mentality is something that feels familiar to a lot of us if it's something that you've been doing since childhood, and our monkey mind loves comfort. It loves things that stay the same, that feel the same. And when you've been in an abusive relationship or you see someone in an abusive relationship, it's very easy to think, why are they staying? Or why did I stay if it was yourself? But our monkey minds like comfort. And if that's what you experienced as a child, even if it's unpleasant, you're going to want to stay in that place that feels familiar, because anything that isn't familiar is scary. But by allowing this to take control of our lives, we are not allowing our life to flourish in the way that it should. And we are literally putting ourselves through hell for no reason at all. Have you ever felt stuck in a victim mentality? Now you've listened to this, if you've made it all this way, do you know someone else that has? I'd love to hear stories about it. I'd love to talk to you about it in the comments. And I want to tell you more about the resilience that I've had to grow through my life. So I'm going to link to a video that I made about all the things that have happened to me through my life that I referenced earlier, but I felt like it didn't need to have its own massive space in here. So if you are interested in seeing the frankly huge amount that has happened to me in my life that I have managed to still navigate away from the victim mentality, I'm going to link to it. So as always, I really appreciate you watching this video. Please subscribe, please like if you liked the content, please tell me why if you didn't like the content, and as always, have the best day.